pass at that point. And so then I then began to really have a lot of questions in my mind, because then the society was also putting in a lot of pressure also on my side, because then I had gone to this very nice school and the expectation was I needed to perform um, as expected. So fast forward, I completed that and then joined university. My parents really supported me to get into doing the course that I really wanted to do, which is telecommunications engineering. But then at the time, the university that I did join had an option of doing electrical, and also because they also had telecommunication students in it. And so what happened is I joined my first year of engineering in that university. And again, at the end of that first year, I had not performed well. Okay. And so I was actually asked to retake a whole year in engineering. And again, that was another low point in my life, because then I thought to myself that my parents had really um, taken a lot of effort to ensure that I would get space into this university to do the course that I wanted, but then I was not performing as required. And so what then forced me to do was to then change my course, and I then enrolled into computer science, because then I qualified for computer science. And for me, one of the first things was that I got into a class of 18 people, and we were only three ladies. So already you notice, for me, again, the questions would come back. Am I good enough to be in this class? We are only three, the rest are gentlemen. And of course, the notion then was this field is really male dominated. And so the questions would be, Jackie, are you able to make it? Are you good enough when it comes to explaining and understanding some of these computer science concepts. And so it was actually very difficult to really just get myself to that position, to really tell myself that, Jackie, this is possible and you're made for this. And so I had to do a lot of work on myself, which is what I'll really be answering to in some of the questions that you were able to then ask. And so I really then pushed myself, and because I had passion in technology, I was able to actually emerge to be the top lady of the class. I really just missed the first class points, I think with a zero point 0.1, about zero point 0.1 points. And so for me, I was really happy with myself after university, that then based on the tool that I was now really instilling on myself and using to really encourage myself that this is the path that I want to take, was now beginning to take shape, and I was beginning to grow, and the fruits were really coming, and people would see that this is where Jackie is really interested in. Fast forward, I get opportunities for work in technology firms, and one of the things that I always, and whenever I'm asked about my experience at work, I have had several experiences that have been good, and others also that again really made me question whether I'm good enough. So I really wanted to share this experience. Um, I was an intern in one of the companies back in Kenya, and when I was working, because I've specialized in networking. So there's a point when I went to tell my boss that one of the devices had actually was actually malfunctioning, and we needed to buy a new one. And one of the questions they asked me was, um, yeah, that's okay, Jackie, but how many of these devices have you been able to handle before? And so for me, that was really a case of being dismissed, when really trying to portray and show that I am really good at what I am doing. And so for that, again, with the tools that I will just be sharing in a few, is I was able again to pull through that, even with all the challenges, and with the fear that I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm in a space that is quite male dominated at that point. And so I had to really work on myself to ensure that I am encouraging myself. I have positive affirmations that support me throughout my journey. And so again, fast forward, I was able to get an opportunity to work at an innovation hub, and we worked on certain solutions including a parking management systems, and we were able to enroll into a competition, and we actually won that. So again, that really encouraged me to continue in this journey. And so currently I'm at Swahili Potab Foundation supporting programs, and I'm still also very, very interested in data. I know data is the next big thing, of course, definitely in the world. And for me, it's to really upskill myself when it comes to data, understand how data analysis is done, because we work with a lot of young people. And for me, I see that this is the opportunity to also use my knowledge in technology to be able to actually support our senior management to make very informed decisions from the data insights that I am getting. So that's a very brief profile of myself. I'd like to ask Dorothy to then just proceed to ask some of the questions for me to be able to answer. Thank
All
you,
right.
Dorothy.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Jacqueline. You made a very solid foundation for today's topic. Afraid, do it anyways. So I'll
Yeah.
start out with the first question. How do you stay grounded and confident when imposter syndrome creeps in, especially in high stakes situation?
Okay, good question. And just for me to just mention is for me, I still struggle and still have to work around imposter syndrome. So
Mm,
just to let the people in the room and the young ladies and men in the room that it is still something that I am working on. It's I really can't say that I've been able to get it 100%, but it is something that I have to continuously work around it. And so what I've been able to do is I keep a list of what I've been able to accomplish. So I call it an accomplishment inventory stroke a list. And I have about 10 points right from when I was born and what are the achievements that I've been able to do. So in there I have that I managed to be one of the best students from primary school into high school. I have in there that I've been able to I went to a very good high school. That is also part of it because then there was a lot of competition back in the days to actually get into this school. So I have that in my list. The other one is I have exactly what I've just mentioned, that I was in a program, in a project that we were actually, we submitted our proposal to actually do a parking management system. That is in my list. And so whenever I feel that I am back on asking myself, Jackie, am I good enough? I always refer to that list and I go back and I tell myself, I was able to accomplish this. What is difficult about this time? And so that keeps me moving because I have evidence that I've been able to make it before. So that encourages me. The other thing I do is I have daily and positive affirmations that I tell myself every single day for the 5 days in the week. I take a rest on Saturday and Sunday, but from Monday to Friday, very religiously, telling myself that I am good enough, that I am enough, that I am chosen because I am a believer. I believe in God. And so I have everything around really encouraging myself on the daily affirmations. And lastly, what I also do every morning is I read a very interesting book called The Four Agreements. And the beauty about it is it has very four critical agreements that to me made a lot of sense when I read. And so this forms part of my daily affirmations. And the first one is talks about so I'll just talk about them randomly. Is I tell myself that I always have to do my best in any role, in any activity. Always do your best. The other one is do not make assumptions. So I tell myself I'd rather ask questions than to make assumptions. The other one is I do not need to take anything personally. So someone can tell me something and I take it very personally, but I shouldn't take it personally because most of the times it's never about me, but always about the other person. And the other thing is I should always be impeccable with my word. What I say, I should stand by it and I should be truthful by it. So those are the things that really ground me when it comes to imposter syndrome. I try as much as possible to work on myself, on my mental state, so that it is always right. For me, imposter syndrome really for the better part of it is you really need to work on your mental state. And when you have it right, then you always ensure that it is a very continuous journey that you're having to ensure that you're always ready for anything.
I love your response. I totally do. Embracing that you have imposter syndrome is one thing, and just acting like, no, I don't have it. I think the first step is embracing that, yes, I do suffer from imposter syndrome. However, there are tools, there are, different, ways, strategies that I
Yeah,
can overcome, and it doesn't just happen. I love, the way you said it. It doesn't just happen, immediately. It takes time. And
yeah,
what you have done is sort of infusing different things that could help you, the daily affirmations, the achievement inventory, which I love, and also not taking things personal, because trust me, as women, we always take things personal. We're so
yes,
emotional for the better
yeah,
part. And it's great that you mentioned that, because for a lot of times we just miss it and then we just tick and we're off, right? So I appreciate that you shared that, as well as impeccable with your words. I love
yeah,
that. It just shows a level of excellence that you exude. We do have a
yeah.
question, and I just want to take this because Cookie asked the question, and she says, "Good afternoon. How do I overcome the fear of not having the ability to do what I am passionate about?"
Please repeat that.
Okay, so she says, "How do I overcome the fear of not having the ability to do what I am passionate about?" So it seems like she has fears of, being something, but
Yeah.
she's just trying to figure out, how do I overcome that fear?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that question. And I think I'll also tie it to one of the questions that also came my way, and one of the things that I think is also very critical for us women and the men in the call as well, is we need to be very self-aware. It's really again a skill that we have to keep learning and keep learning. So for me, what I do is I always probe further. What is this fear? Okay. And why am I feeling this way? So I really try to understand where is this fear coming from. So is it really valid? And by valid, I mean, is it something that if I take that direction will interfere with my well-being or with my safety? That's how then I translate it as fear that would really make me to like pause and say, no, that's not the direction I want to take. But then if it's the fear of really not pushing yourself, then I have to dig deeper and ask myself, am I experiencing this because I feel like I'm not quite knowledgeable in what I need to do? Then from that, then I already have a solution. The solution is I need to be perhaps do more research, get mentors, get a community around me to be able to support me to understand better the role and the task that I need to do. Then if I go further and say, perhaps I'm feeling this because Jackie, I'm not good enough, then I go back to my daily affirmations and I tell myself that, hey, I need to always remind myself. So for me, there's a cycle to which I then use to be able to figure out exactly what is the root of this fear. Because sometimes if I don't get to that point, then fear overcomes and overtakes exactly what I needed to do, as opposed to taking some time off and figuring out, being very self-aware, and also just also knowing your triggers. There are those triggers that if something happens to you, you're like, okay, by this then directs me to be very fearful in a certain direction. And so for me, what I've been able to do in that is try as much as possible to research, always do my best in the activities I've been given, in the tasks that I've been given. And for me to always do my best, it means one, I have to research, I have to understand the task. And when I have questions, I'm not making assumptions. I go back and ask those questions, right? So for me, it's also still tied to the four agreements that I'd mentioned earlier. And also being honest and being vulnerable. Because then if I don't know something, I don't have to pretend that I know it. I really just find a way to say that, for example, if it's my supervisor, is I'd be, excuse me, sir, I appreciate that you've given me this task, but could you kindly like expound further or explain to me further what exactly this task is all about. So I'm able to get more insights from my supervisor to be able to guide me, especially on what I really need to do. So my answer to that would be probe further, be very self-aware, figure out what is the root of that fear. And if it is something that you're passionate about, chances are very high then it's actually imposter syndrome because you're passionate about what you want to do. Then just go back and tell yourself, I am worth it. I am capable of doing this. Keep a very positive mental state for yourself.
I love that you mentioned something. Identifying your triggers. A lot of times we don't even know what our triggers are. So again, that self-awareness, that retrospect is necessary just to help us identify what are some of the things that could trigger me off and make me not to pursue my passion. And I
Yeah.
love that you mentioned that. And again, it just goes to the extent of everything that you have said, daily affirmations, your achievements, inventory, and pretty much everything. So thank you so much. And I do hope, Cookie, that we were able to do justice, or Jacqueline was able to do justice to that question. Now I'm going to move on to the next questions because
Mhm.
it's funny that we're almost out of time, but no, we're not just yet. The next
Yeah.
question will be, how do you differentiate between fear that's protecting you and fear that's just holding you back?
So actually, just how I've responded to that first question really ties to this one as well, because yes, sometimes we face fears and they're very valid and genuine fears, but again, always go back to asking yourself and figuring out what is the root of that fear. So sometimes it depends, right? You would always ask yourself, is it something that, and this is what I do, is it with whatever I'm feeling in the sphere of the fear itself, yeah? Is it something that's going to affect my well-being? And my well-being again is my mental state, my physical state. Is is the fear really attributed, or is it moving towards that direction? And if it is not, for me, chances are very high that this is usually the imposter syndrome trying to come back and to tell me I am not enough to be able to do something. And so, yes, I've been able to show, for example, in the previous task that I've been able to do that. Yes, I've been able to do this. But then once in a while, the fear comes back to try and hold me back. And this happens especially when, for example, one is given new rules or they're asked to get into a space where they've not been. So essentially, you're being moved from your space of comfort to a space where you would want to learn. And that's how, again, I look at it because that also builds your resilience. And every time your resilience is built, then you're able to do as much as possible because then that means anytime you fall down, you're able to come back up and be able to move. And you have learnings that you've gotten from that entire process. So I would go back to really figuring out what exactly is driving this fear and going back to the root of the problem and doing a lot of self awareness.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. The other question I have here is, how do you handle being the only woman in the room, especially when your voice feels dismissed or overlooked?
Good question. Okay, so one of the tools again I use is identifying the triggers. So definitely when I'm dismissed when my point is overlooked, sometimes that is a trigger. And when I have triggers, I have found a way to find things to do when I'm triggered so that I again compose my tool because as a lady, you do not want to look as though every time feedback comes your way or criticism comes your way, you are always up and and shouting and really opposing what we've been told. So I have found a mechanism to really stay calm and collected. And most times I would take a breather of about 5 minutes, just trying to really compose myself before maybe perhaps responding back. So I would really sometimes even like just take a moment to like just relax and take whatever I've been told in and then be able to now just give feedback. And that again would depend with whether it is a positive feedback or criticism. And most of the times is I would then take it in, but then just go back and analyze after the meeting, after the session. go back and analyze and ask myself, okay, I was this is the feedback that came back. Does it make sense? Yes, it does. So proceed to do what? To act on perhaps the feedback you've been given. Then ask myself, is it true? I'm like, no, it's not true. So I'm like, ignore that one. So like really get out of my mind. I really don't want that in my space. So there has to be a lot of self-awareness and a lot of self-evaluation that really happens most of the times when some of these things happen. But the first thing that I would really encourage is take a breather. If you really need to even just like excuse yourself, is like you would actually even mention that, like, just excuse me for like 5 minutes, I'll be back. So really trying to compose yourself so that you're not quote unquote in the process of having a lot of outbursts, because then if that happens, then also shows that you're also not professional. But then how do you handle that? You really take it in, find a way to understand your trigger and find a way to have a mechanism to cope that with. Yes.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. One last question. It's just so amazing that we're able to, you're able to share this with us. I absolutely love it. So, one last question before we round up. What's the most significant lesson you've learned from taking risk?
For me, sorry, calculated risks are very worth it. So I'll really just give an example around it. So when I took the role that okay, just before, because I got into Swahili Potab Foundation with a different role, um, I was really moving from doing a lot of the tech work to coming into the social impact space. And for me, the drive was I needed to be in a space where I'm able to practice more mentorship and more leadership. Yeah. And so then I felt in the space that I was in before, that was not there, because I would essentially just sit in front of a screen and do a lot of work on the screen. But then I felt it was time to then get into a space where I would be able to mentor more young people, more young ladies in the STEM field. And in as much as where I was before, what necessitated and really, really accelerated me getting out of that space was because we were fired, because then there was no funding to really support the projects that we were doing. But then I sat after that process, after the firing process, I sat down to figure out exactly what I needed my journey to look like moving forward. And that is when, because I had read a lot about leadership, I really wanted, I felt I have so much knowledge, but then I'm really not practicing what I'm learning, right? So I was like, in my next venture, or in the next organization that I'd like to work with, is I really needed the bridge of technology and also the leadership components. And so for me, Swahili Potab Foundation then became the best choice of the place to go and work, because then it gives me both of what my journey and the trajectory of my journey is now taking. So that was a calculated risk, because at the end of the day, um, I knew that yes, I will be moving. I may not be doing a lot of the technical work, but is it worth it? Yes, it is. Because at the end of the day, this is what my career, and this is the direction to which I want this to take. This is my vision. This is my mission. This is where I want this to go. And so when I took that move, I had to relocate from Nairobi, which is the capital city of Kenya, and I had to move to another city, several miles away, and even further away from home. But it was really a decision and a risk that I had to take because of the direction that I was taking. And I've been able to really enjoy the work that I'm currently doing, because then I get to impact young people and to support them throughout the journey. So for me, the biggest lesson would be that calculated risks really, really are worth it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jacqueline, for being a great example to everyone, every woman in technology, every man, our allies in technology as well. I love that we were able to, reflect on today's topic, afraid. do it anyways. Yes, and you are a great example of why you should do it. Even when fear is standing right in front of you. I love that you were able to do this with us today with the Wenters community. We're just so excited that you're part of us. It has been a journey with you, and I follow you on LinkedIn. And everyone, please follow her on LinkedIn. She's doing a lot of work within her space, in the organization that she works in. And I'm just so excited that we have been able to connect with you for this long. Thank you for not giving up on us. We're so excited. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. And to everyone who joined, you can follow Jacqueline on LinkedIn. She's such a wealth of knowledge and experience as well. So do make time to connect with her on LinkedIn. She's such an amazing person. And if you do have further questions beyond today's session, by all means, she's very approachable and she will definitely respond to those questions. But that's it for us today. It's supposed to be a 30-minute session. And I'm just so excited. And yeah, thank you so much, Jacqueline, for leaving your number as well. I'm so excited. If you want to reach out to her, she just left her number. You can reach out to her. You can ask questions. You can connect with her. If you are in Kenya, she's actually based in Kenya. And yeah, I think that covers it for us today. To everyone who joined again, thank you. And this is where we close. And I just want to say, do have a lovely, lovely weekend to everyone. I'm just so excited for today's session. Thank you, Jacqueline. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you. All
Thank
right. Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gina. Yeah. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.